Good evening, everyone. My name is Laura Schifrin, and I am the chairman of the Town Properties Committee and would like to call our meeting to order at 5:03 p.m. on Monday, January 9th, 2023. I'd like a roll call vote, please.
Julie Byers present.
Vicki Tidman present.
John present.
And Melissa, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Oh, sure. Hi, my name's Melissa Dunnett. I'm the treasurer collector for the town of Townsend. Hello.
Hi, thanks for being with us.
Absolutely.
Additions or deletions to the agenda are received 48 hours before. Just that we are, okay, there, it's already there. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to, regarding the minutes of our last meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes for the Townsend Properties Committee meeting on October 11th, 2022.
Is there a second?
Vicki Tidman, I second the motion.
Okay, any discussion? Comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a roll call vote, please.
Julie Byers, yes.
Vicki Tidman, yes.
John Hayes, yes.
And Laura Schifrin, yes. Number 4, discuss review cemetery and parks request for parcel 27560. Vicki, can you explain that, please?
There's a piece of property that is owned by the town, and the Parks and Cemetery would like to take that over. And I believe we all discussed it and felt it was a good option.
Right.
Okay.
My question was regarding the water.
Yeah.
And Dave has reviewed it and said he's fine. It's not
Right.
needed for here, so we don't have to do any work
Yeah. So
on
we
the parcel, so it would be a complete transfer.
Okay. I did think that was,
proposed here.
yeah, I did think that was the discussion and that the water department was fine with it. They had no objections.
Yeah.
So can we now have a motion that goes forward to the Board of Selectmen that all of our concerns were addressed? And that we are okay with that transfer?
Okay, so we need to say what the motion to move forward on the cemetery and parks request for parcel 27-56-0 to go to the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah,
Is that good?
You guys recommend
we
to
will-
transfer it to
We-
cemetery and parks.
We recommend transfer to cemetery and parks of that parcel 27-56-0.
I second the motion.
Okay, and as before, the only concern at the last meeting was regarding the water department and any effects that they may, or objections that they would have to this being done, and they had none. Okay, all those in favor, roll call vote, please.
Julie Byers, yes.
Vicki Tidman, yes.
John Hayes, yes.
Laura Schifrin, yes. So thank you all for that. And then number 5, establish a process to make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen of town-owned properties. This was put on the agenda because of the recent survey that was sent out by the town administrator. Those particular properties, and I'm not saying it was a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying that town properties would normally look at things like this, or the Board of Selectmen or the TA would look to town properties and say, what do you think? Or we plan to do a survey. What properties would you suggest go on the survey? So, Melissa, do you have any suggestions of how we could do this? I know that when you were with us or Townsend Housing Authority the last time, we suggested, or we were talking about getting a process going so that you would keep us apprised of, it was Town Properties actually, because Kevin was there. So that you would keep us apprised of status of properties that were behind, or you were getting ready to go to tax title, or you were thinking of going to auction, and that we could have a discussion about it.
Um,
Well, go ahead.
no, I actually, I've been so busy, I'm really not, I don't have anything prepared
Okay.
for this meeting, but off the top of my head, I remember thinking that it should start in my department and send it to, I just need to be aware of who I should be sending what list to and what kind of, who should be giving me permission to go forward with auctioning and things like that. As far as who to put a lien on or things like that, no, it would just be, I was thinking after the town, put a lien on something, after the town owned, I'm not saying the words
I know what
correctly.
you're saying.
But once we own a piece of land, the step that I'm looking for is, once we own it, what do I do in order to fulfill my role and fulfill, I think, a bylaw that says that I should be making, as a treasurer collector, other departments within the town aware that the town owns these properties, and whether other departments are interested in taking them over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so, well, in some of the cases, it wasn't just, what really brought it to our attention was these things were being done, and properties were going to auction when other people would have bought them. And it was more being like sold as a package versus there being an actual auction. It was sold or given or purchased by an auction house, let's say, versus individuals. So-
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt. So if I may, that hasn't happened in the year that I've been here. That all happened prior. And so, yes, I heard that there was some issue. Some people took issue with the way that was handled. So I wanted to go forward and handle it in a way that, we all are satisfied.
Okay. So yeah, so that's part of this subject is the tax title taking and how you auction after that. So if we can just have that communication, and then once we see what the properties are, we would recommend that, the housing trust or the housing authority look at this, or that the Board of Selectmen look at this.
So
Yes.
Laura, are you saying once Melissa knows or identifies a property, she sends it to town properties, and town properties will take the role of alerting all the other departments and asking for feedback?
Yeah, because in actuality, it's almost like in the TA position, he doesn't live here. Melissa doesn't live here. They're not, and this is not to say anything against anyone. It's just to say that there are enough people who volunteer in the town who have a lot of knowledge that they're willing to share. So rather than making not so much an uneducational determination, but getting as much knowledge as you can get from townspeople as to what the history is. They may know things that you don't know, like, we had to go over a large discussion about the old carpet place that really used to be a gas station, and you've got nobody in town hall lived here, when that was going on, or through the process of what was going on. But yet there are people who will share that information so that you can make the best decision for the town. So I think communication is just a big key. And if it's a property, it would make sense to go to town properties first, and then they would determine where you should give the rest of the information to. Not that that would be the only information, and not that you shouldn't ask the town administrator, and, ask the town administrator. But for him as well, like town properties should have been consulted for the survey, I think. The survey turned out to be a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just that, wow, maybe there could have been another one, or maybe one wasn't necessary, or something like that. And if you don't have the experience in the town, I don't see how you can make that determination. But
Are we making recommendations to the Board of Selectmen or to the
Yes.
town administrator?
no, Board of Selectmen.
Board of Selectmen. Okay.
Yeah, because the Board of Selectmen have the authority. And for all I know, the Board of Selectmen did not vote for that survey, but it came from the town administrator. And it may have stemmed from one of the selectmen, I don't know. But it wasn't, I didn't see anywhere where it was a board vote.
Right.
And it did have to do with town properties. So it just makes sense. Those of us that are involved in so many boards or committees that have to do with housing, and especially when you have realtors, real estate people who are knowledgeable about the town and process, that or attorneys that know about the process, why wouldn't you use that knowledge too as part of your basis for making your decisions? It just makes common sense to me. So that's why I thought we should talk about it here and then pass that information along. What's your pleasure?
This is done. Just thinking back, even to when we take a property for and try to acquire it for non-payment, or the lien is placed on it, should there be a review at that point before it say? The one that comes to mind was the mold. There was a property with mold mentioned at the prior meeting. Is that something we want to take on, or is that? I understand they haven't paid the taxes, but it's now either we have to remediate the mold, and it becomes us, or the property is not worth taking on for the price. Nobody's going to take it. So I don't know if there needs to be on that front end a review piece of it. Number one. Number two is, as we get the property, we need to make those notes and have them online as we make the presentation. I did happen to go online and look at the charter today, and there were a couple of things that popped in. One is that we're supposed to have an annual inventory of the property and pass it to the town accountant. And I don't know that we actively do that. So it gets back to the item that's on the agenda, which is a process. So maybe there's two processes that we need to look at, or existing properties that are on the list and the new properties coming in. What's the process on new properties coming in? And do we have a biannual, quinennial kind of review on the existing and divide it up based on an annual, that kind of review, that we're looking at it and updating any of the properties. There is also a note that says that we're supposed to be town properties are supposed to be notified when anything is acquired by a town department or disposed of. And I don't know I don't know that it's a well-known
Yeah,
piece
yeah.
of this.
I know the list for insurance purposes for that has been done. I know a few times since I've been here.
Right.
And it's usually the accountant that.
That does that.
Yeah.
Yep. And in addition, one of the last items that I thought was most interesting is it says that we are responsible to put together a budget and submit a budget for maintenance of these properties. So, yeah, exactly. It's kind of like,
Okay, so that part,
now that gets to us when the question was, what do we do with the engineering for 182
Right.
Warren? There's a piece of that said maybe there should have been some money
Somebody set aside.
set aside for it, that we hadn't done. So I've never seen town properties on the 2 years I've been on finance committee. So it's kind of, so this is new, and we're into the new budget planning season. So this is a good time to recognize it. Because one of the last items that is here about process is a list of the items on, and I don't know that we have a form that we use when we submit the property to the selectmen with our recommendations. There's a list of seven items that
I
It
don't
would
believe
like
I don't believe
included.
there is a form.
I've never seen a form.
Yeah.
I've been on it. I've been on town properties for many years.
Mhm.
Off and on, a couple years, they never met.
Yeah.
It is a yearly appointment. And every year that I've been on, we've always looked at the list of town-owned properties.
Mhm.
We've not had a process, to my knowledge, of getting noticed when the town acquired properties.
Mhm.
But it should make sense that that should be done.
Right.
And it also makes sense that we do suggest to the town or report to the town what we think might be done with the property if we had such and such a study done, like we did at the last meeting for Warren Road. Now, there's DLT grant money available through MRPC.
Mhm.
They're in the process now of taking applications for this next round. There'll be 3 rounds in 2023. So perhaps we look into setting out, requesting funds to have 186 Warren Road studied and get a report on that to report back to the town. So I think that's the first thing we have to do each year is try to apply for grant money with any properties that need assistance that the town owns so that we don't have to raise tax dollars to take care of the maintenance. They've had maintenance budgets. Well, you would know this better than me, John,
Well,
as far as
yeah.
finance goes, but then what have they done with them? The buildings haven't been maintained for what was allowed to be budgeted.
Right, and exactly a little bit of the point is who is responsible? Is it within the fire department budget to budget for maintenance, or should it be town properties? Because those are town properties, and put a budget together that deals with all of town properties.
Well, Don, answer the question.
Yeah.
In all the budgets that you've done every year, who pays for the maintenance of the fire department buildings or the
Right
police?
now, there's a line in the fire department budget that
Yeah.
that has that. So it's kind of
Yeah, I don't think that's ever been done. I think that the budget that I understood for town properties were like the Old Hart Library, the town hall, the
so
meeting room.
inactive facilities that the town
Yeah,
owns.
yeah,
That-
right. The inactive facilities still have to be maintained.
Okay, so that's the piece that would be the perfect dividing line, in that the facilities department is responsible for doing maintenance for all active buildings, or for the department like police and fire and highway that are separate, and that the town properties would be responsible for a maintenance budget for the inactive town-owned properties.
If we, let's see,
Yeah.
Jody or Vicky, could you find out from the town administrator, I guess? What we should be doing for forms per the charter.
Okay.
You know, we don't devise them. That should come out of the administrator's office to facilitate the different departments of how they're supposed to run.
So when you say forms, do you mean for us to recommend to them, to the Board of Selectmen?
Yeah, what forms do they want us to use?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Julie?
No, I mean, if it's in the charter and we should
Right.
take a look at it.
Yeah, it would probably be easy enough to build a form that
Right,
could be
right.
requirements they've got listed. It's kind of, but that was just the thing. It's kind of like there's some information out there, and when I go and look at it, it's kind of like some of the pieces might be missing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that we haven't looked at for a while. And there may be a form. Again, there's been other people through these committees before. So when
Okay.
around.
So, Vicky, when you run off the list of town-owned properties that you give to us, I mean, we look at it in assessors as well as in town properties. So when you give that to us, is there a way, well, I know there's a way that you can just do land.
Yep.
Which of course, that would not require, probably should require some maintenance, but I don't know if we're going to get into the lawn mowing and the cleaning up of land properties that we own, but that would be a separate category. And then go to occupied and used buildings that need to be budgeted for by the town. And when I say by the town, I don't mean, because I think the chief of police and the fire chief, they all run their own departments in their own buildings. I don't remember, or the water department, I don't ever remember them coming before the town in any way, shape, or form regarding maintenance. It's always been in their budget. I mean, right, Dan, you've been on finance so many years now.
Yeah, it's been a couple years. So and there's some budgets there, but they're not necessarily full budgets. We've been found that the maintenance budgets are a little underfunded, and
Do you think it would be wiser if it wasn't under the individual departments and it was under facilities and
I think it's done both ways.
ways? Yeah.
I think it's done both ways. It's much like some of the even the energy, the
Yeah.
electric and heat. It's kind of like we still have to heat some of these buildings too. So they're done by facilities, but each of the other departments will have their own heat
Budget. Yeah.
budget for heat, water, and electric. So
Well, I always think that's kind of good because you get a better idea. By doing it that way, you get a better idea of what each department costs you, in running
mhm.
the full gamut, not just the fact that they have a building that they work in. And I mean,
Right.
they're the closest ones to it. So I'm good with them having their own maintenance. It's the vacant buildings and the town hall and anything that comes under the guise of the town hall that I think has to be in one space, one part that the selectmen should be looking at and saying, what are we going to do here, kind of thing. When it comes to either, do we keep it or do we sell it? Or do we renovate it and rent it, all those things. That's got to be within the town hall, I think, and I think that's enough for them to handle as well and let the heads of the departments that have their own facilities run them, like the highway department as well. So highway, water, police, fire.
Cemetery and parks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you guys have?
Parks, they can be that they're their own entities in a way. We still all pay for them all, but I think it's better having them run their own firsthand than trying to have somebody facilitate. Since we can't seem to get what we have as vacant buildings and whatever, we can't seem to manage that. So that should be under the guise of, maybe like you said, because of the charter, town properties, and we look at it in categories that Vicky should be able to give us. And the things that would need the most would be the vacant buildings.
So you want a list of vacant land and then a list of vacant buildings?
Yeah, that we are responsible for.
Okay.
That we own. I think it's mostly land, that parcels of land.
Yeah.
That we still haven't deciphered where they should go. Otherwise, we've done a pretty good job, I think, of transferring some of them, whether it's conservation or the housing trust or
Or to cemeteries and parks.
cemetery, whatever.
The advantage of the room.
Don, could you work with Vicky on that? Vicky and Jody on trying to formulate something for us to look at our next meeting?
Yep. That's kind of, I had jotted a few notes down, even with, as we're doing this in the land, identifying, if anybody's identifying if there's endangered species or things on the property that you're gonna have trouble selling it or don't
Oh, yeah,
recommend it.
that's
Right.
true, yeah.
But see, that's gonna go back to the no budget thing,
Yeah.
because
But-
when Mike was here, he was saying about how to have conservation agent go and do it.
Mhm.
She's underfunded now,
So
it goes hand in hand with the budget.
it does, so this might be the right time to look at these things, document what our plans are for the properties and what we're trying to do to support a budget being added.
Well, we got
monies
an
to
in
the
on the
budget.
finance committee.
Well, if nothing else, it'll get on the agenda and be brought to the attention in the budget
Mhm.
this year, and that'll be a step forward. And again, reference to the charter is probably a good way to go too.
Right.
Laura, I just want to ask Melissa a question.
Mhm.
So earlier we were talking about at what point we would want to know about a property that is potentially going to be owned by the town. So I'm just trying to figure out from the moment the person misses the tax payment to the process going through their rights to redeem all of those things. I mean, we're not talking a quick process, right? It could be a while before we know. What could you give us an idea of like average time?
So off the top of my head, you have at least, they have at least a year. We've got to send them several mailings, notifying them of their, lack of payments and our, what we're going to be doing. So a minimum of a year.
Okay.
And I think it's 3 years. I wish I had the Mass General laws in front of me. So it is a long process. So what
Yes.
I was thinking while you guys were talking was I work with a tax title lawyer. So taking the list of what's in court right now, like what's in land court, and that I guess takes a year to 2 to 3 years.
Mhm.
If I could maintain that list, and I could always give that to you every meeting, a status of what I get from the tax title lawyer. So that's kind of giving you a look at things that are upcoming that we don't own yet, but what we're in the process of doing.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
That
also
would be
just
good.
keep you updated on, I don't know that you can tell me not to do a taking. You know what I mean? I think
Right, yeah.
I'm not sure of the Mass General laws of like, okay, once it's started or once they haven't paid for 3 years, I have to, by
Yeah,
law,
right.
Right.
start doing
Yeah.
the tax title process.
But I think what the town did in the past was we don't necessarily have to wait for that process to play out. We could sell all of the properties that are behind in taxes to a company like, was it Tallage?
Tallage.
Tallage, right? And then
Tallage,
they
Tallage.
kind of just pay the town for what's owed, and then they take the process and go to the end. So I think that's what we're saying. We don't want to do that again. We'd rather, but for your purposes, it doesn't make sense to send us everything that's behind because it might not go all the way through the process.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
yeah, if you're not interested in that process, sure, then I don't need to give it to you. You tell
mean,
me what you guys want.
Does that make sense, Laura? Like, we want the ones that
Well-
are closer to the end than,
Mhm.
like, they just missed one
Okay.
payment.
So part of the process,
want
and this
that.
came from some other members on town properties that are not here. Part of the people being upset was that they had not known. And if they had known, and this is kind of like off the record because it doesn't matter because not everybody's going to do this, but they might have helped them. So rather than it going that far and people losing their homes, again, I don't know if that becomes a privacy thing, but I'm not sure that it's a privacy thing because unpaid taxes are public record. That's not a privacy thing. So I think from a town properties point of view, if there's any way we can help anybody, and you're already into that kind of a process, and normally it is almost 3 years, and then you start that process, that probably is something that's gone and is into their second year. I think we should know about it. I mean, I don't, and I may not always be here, this is not a forever thing, but so it's up to whatever appointees are on, the town property.
What would the benefit of that, Lori? Knowing, like, if they were a year and a half into it and it was another year and a half before anything what would be the benefit of knowing?
Well, people who are really involved in the town may have done an outreach.
Yeah, but how would you facilitate that from Town Properties Committee?
I don't know. I think it would be a discussion at a full board, and then whatever suggestions people had would be taken up at that time.
Okay.
I think it's probably going to be different for you. I don't think it's going to be the same. Each situation would be might have a different outcome.
Yeah, and if I may, let's see what the quantity is too. One thing that I've been doing since I started is I've actually worked out payment plans with people. So I don't know if the public knows, they can call me and, we can work out payment plans. That's perfectly legal. I just started a conversation with a woman today. So that's an option, a valid option, and it's legal. So
Yeah.
what you want to do with that information?
Well, that would come from you, when you see the situations happen.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I guess I'll have to.
I mean, could it
Yeah,
go
that's-
on the town website?
Well, I don't have their contact information.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have their phone numbers, their emails, or anything like that. I just have their addresses in the system. So for me to contact them personally, is that what you're asking me to do?
No, I think it would be a letter.
I could at like when I do the yearly I'll look at credits and who's in the hole and
Right,
who has
right.
credits. That's done yearly, annually. At least now it is, and yeah, I don't know that we have in the past generated a letter to these people first. I know letters have to be generated, but I don't know that in the letter saying they owe, but I don't know in the letter that it's offered them to contact the treasurer collector and work out a payment plan. So I'll have to check on that. I don't think
they have
anyone's ever done that.
Do they have to prove anything? Do they have to have like a hardship claim or something, or just any?
By law, no. It's
Okay.
at the discretion of the treasurer collector as to, how many months or how long, years, and
Okay.
the payment plan and stuff. So
There's still going to be interest and penalties. They can't be waived.
no, they cannot. You are
Okay.
correct.
So she's, so her letter goes out and basically just encourages a payment plan so that they're at least attempting, rather than ignoring it. But interest and penalties won't be waived.
Nope.
So if people are really interested in trying to save their properties, then they may, take advantage of that. It'll look a little better for them anyway. And if not, then it's not going to happen, and it may be done a different way.
So yeah, I'll work on that. So at the end of the day, this committee is discussing at what point you want to be notified from the treasurer collector, at what point in the status of a taking you want information, correct?
Yeah, and I think after 2 years, and then after a taking, for sure, when the town actually does own it, because you're going to know before anybody else.
Yes.
Okay, so, and at
Okay,
that
so-
point, it's when the committee can make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen.
Sounds good on my end.
Okay, any
Thank
other
you, thank you.
questions, concerns? Any thoughts on a next meeting? Did the assessors didn't book another meeting, did they?
But we should, probably for the end of February, beginning of March, after the abatement application process is completed, so we could look at those.
Okay, well, I don't think we have any like emergency things to do for town properties.
Are we just gonna let the properties that were identified in the survey, are we just
Yeah.
gonna let that kind of go and run its own process, or are we gonna get involved in that?
Well, I think it's kind of out of our hands because the TA kind of took the bull by the horns and sent the survey out. What or who is going to be discussing the survey, because some of that has to do with zoning and bylaws.
Yep.
So I would think, if nothing else, they're going to be addressing planning board.
Yeah, you'd see it there, and maybe the ZBA, well, we don't
Yeah.
know that yet.
Well, zoning would be after, but still,
Yeah.
if there's an issue with bylaws, then bylaws will have to be addressed. And then hopefully something, can be worked out. But I think our comments are just that, we might have had input.
Yeah,
Survey.
I just wanted to make sure the TA is aware of our existence and that what our role is. And could we reach out to make sure we kind of don't get cut out again of this process?
We can put a note in our minutes and make sure he gets the minutes, or
Yeah,
address it that way. But I think that there's been some discussion anyway.
yeah, okay.
I have
Whether
a question.
through the selectmen, through other selectmen. Melissa?
Oh, thank you. So, how do you want me to notify you? Should I give the information to Vicky and then she brings it to the property committee?
Yeah,
We kind of sit right next to each other.
or Jody.
Or Jody, yeah.
Jody.
You want to volunteer anybody for work?
One of the things that I've learned is when you do processes and things, set them up for a position, not a person.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So we call it the,
Assessor's department. So I'll do
Yeah.
Jody and Vicky.
yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, it's just that generic thing. I mean, we know the people, but.
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah, they may not always be the same people, so.
Right, and then you go, okay.
So I will notify the assessor's office directly. And then if you want me at these meetings, they can let me know. Or you,
Okay.
is that okay? I don't mind attending every meeting for a while till it works. So, but
It'll be a long time before it works.
so by invitation only. Yeah,
But I really appreciate your comments, Dawn and Melissa, because when you come from a different perspective, it brings to light something that we hadn't discussed before. So, and that's always
Absolutely.
appreciated.
Well, who knew we were supposed to have a budget?
In all my years, we had no funds. We weren't spending money. We were just making recommendations regarding town-owned property, period.
But I think you're right, a budget would have, if we did have money, we could have maybe done something about 182 Warren Road, or in the future, we would
Right.
have.
Right.
I really think you should bring to the attention of the TA and the BOS that 186 Warren Road needs a study in order to know what to do with the property. And where DLTA monies are available, they should go for grants since we have no funding. Okay? If you could bring that to the TA's attention, Vicky,
Okay.
as a vote from the board here.
Yep.
Or the committee.
Do you want me to put together a memo to send up?
Yeah,
Or just verbal conversation?
Well, I guess I have a question too in regards to what the TA is getting, because we're gonna send them what I've been doing is just a memo saying we recommend to the Board of Selectmen to give that Highland property to cemetery. And
yeah.
maybe just another memo to say we exist and we'd like a budget. I mean,
Well,
Start waving our hand?
because I think that's gonna be a long process.
just refer to the charter as Don did now.
Yeah.
Okay, just refer to that section of the charter. And how would they like,
I made a couple of notes here, but
Okay,
we
fine,
can
that's
make
fine.
a
Yeah,
copy.
that's
maybe Don can help you write that memo. And yeah, all of our feelings that we have, I mean, we have minutes, they can look at our minutes, but should be in writing, not a conversation.
Right.
Mhm.
It should be a memo in writing so that we have it, that we did bring it to your attention.
Right.
So today's the 9th. Are we good with, can we do early on February? Do you want to do,
What did you want to do, February or March for the?
do you want to do like, I don't know, February 28th? That's a Tuesday. Do you want a Tuesday or do you want Monday?
Tuesday would be better for me, but
I'm good with Tuesday at 4:30,
Can we do Tuesday at 5?
at 5.
yeah.
I
No,
don't
you're
have my
not good?
computer.
No.
It's gonna, there are so many, there's so
Oh,
many.
yeah,
budget-
maybe we better stick
Yeah.
with Mondays just
Oh,
for the
Monday.
time being because of
Oh.
budget meetings.
The budget meetings are gonna go 4 to 5:30 on most Tuesdays.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
We
right.
had- We had done every other, but we're probably gonna have to fill it in and do some Thursdays too,
Yeah.
the way the budgets are.
Yeah.
All right.
27th.
Yeah, Mondays will probably be better for the time being.
Yeah, and we can do like today earlier,
Yeah,
just in case I'm not sure if that's a planning board meeting or not. I know I saw it somewhere, but I don't have it in front of me right now. So, 5 o'clock?
Okay, yep,
5 o'clock on
Monday, the 27th.
Wednesday, the 27th, and then, if assessors has to meet, can we do 4:30?
yeah, that would be good, yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And
Okay,
that would, yeah, that would be good.
okay. Then we should be all set, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn at 5:47.
I'll make a motion to adjourn town properties at 5:47.
Is there a second? Okay. Hearing no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Julie Byers, yes.
Vicky Tidman, yes?
Don Hayes, yes?
Laura Schifrin, yes. Thank you very much, everyone.